Hi, Krish. Thank you for having me. And hi, everybody. You guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, today I'm gonna walk you through this Anypoint platform, just an overview. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Uh, I have put some learning objectives. Once we finish this session, the objectives are just, to identify the main tools of this Anypoint platform and their use cases or their uses, and also to describe how this Anypoint platform, these different components of Anypoint platform support the software development lifecycle. And also one more objective is to like just have an overview of different kinds of deployment options that are available in MuleSoft. Having said this, let's get started to the overview of Anypoint platform. Basically, this Anypoint platform is a single solution, or you can say like one-stop shop, if you will, that allows developers to design, develop, deploy, and manage the APIs. Basically, it allows developers to take the application through the complete software development lifecycle. So there are some components of this one, as you can see from my screen. The main components are the design center, the exchange, and the management center. The design center is used for rapid development, designing, documenting, marking, and so on. And the exchange center is used to collaborate and discover the APIs created. Like it's basically a library of APIs, fragments, examples, templates, and so on. And there is one third component, which is the management center, which is used to manage the different aspects of a given application. Uh, so now let's zoom in into each section and take it a little bit further. So I'm starting with the design center, which is chronologically should be the first when you start, working on an application or a software. So from in the design center, um, like we can take it as a blueprint or a spec of the application. So basically, it's a contract of the application. And there are two tools to come up with this blueprint: the API designer and the flow designer. The API designer is a web-based.
Sorry, Anwar, for the interruption. Can you please make it slide view? So, thank you. Slideshow. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thank you. So yeah, to come up with a blueprint for this application, we use two tools: the API designer and the flow designer. The API designer is a web-based tool that helps you to edit the YAML file, which you use to come up with the blueprint. And there is also a flow designer which helps you, to create new applications. This flow designer is a low-code drag and drop integration tool. So when you come to the anatomy of the design center, you can see like there are a couple of sections. Um, you see the file browser is just it helps you to we use the file browser to organize the files and folders of the project. And in the center we see the editor which used to edit the RAM file to edit the to put when the RAM syntax is entered, we enter the RAM syntax in the editor. And the shelf helps to facilitate this job, where it provides you content-based options, so that it makes it easier for the developer to write the document or the contract. And on the right hand side, you can see the API console that is just it's a visual representation of the specification along with the endpoints and yes. So further on this API specification, there are like about a couple of sections. You can see the operations, meaning what to call. For example, if we take if we are like designing a web service, I mean an API for a book service API. So when by the operations, you say what to call, like what resources to call. In this uh, book service API, we can have authors, we can have books, we can have other resources as well. So what to call? For example, if we are calling the resource authors, then the resource section will be authors, and the method could be like if you are retrieving data regarding the author, then should the method will be get. And if we are posting sending requests to the server regarding these books, and then that will be a post request. So depending on the situation, depending on the method, you can have a couple of methods. And the next is the input, what to send. So the request, what are the contents of the request you are sending. So like URL parameter, query parameters, we might zoom in this in the next maybe next classes, but for now it's simply and these are the inputs that we sent with the request, and the output is what we get back from the server, like maybe the stats code, like failure, success, and in the body, if we are retrieving data from a database, for example, regarding the book or the author, then the body is the output that we get from the server or from the database. And there are also the underlying data types also are also this part of the specification. So once we specify the RAML using the tools in the design center, finally we publish it into the exchange, which is another component. So we publish it to this Anypoint Exchange. This Anypoint Exchange is simply a marketplace of connectors, templates, and APIs, fragments, and so on. So in the Anypoint Exchange, it has two types of assets: the MuleSoft provided, which are public to all customers, certified by MuleSoft and its partners, and are public to all customers. And also we can have organizations' own assets, which are usually internal but can be made also public. So let me share my screen and show you this from give me one moment. Fish, can you see my exchange? We said this is a library of APIs, connectors, fragments. So these ones are MuleSoft provided. You can see all of these are MuleSoft provided connectors, APIs, fragments, and you can filter like this one in if you want like are you going with, if you are going with the connectors only, so we filter this one, you get only the connector uh, assets and so on, and we can also get the policies if you want. So this is the basically the Anypoint Exchange is, you can say, like a Sunday market of APIs, or yeah, or a central repository of APIs. So besides to MuleSoft provide ones, and companies own APIs fragments are also published. Once they are designed, are published to this exchange. And this one is my company, for example. But unfortunately, I don't have that much. I think I have only one REST API. Yes. So this is the REST API I was playing around the other day. So, but like this one, assuming like a big company, he can have a lot of APIs, connectors, and fragments of this one. So this one, the one I was playing around the other day. So basically, the Anypoint Exchange is the purpose of Anypoint Exchange is once RAM files or API specifications are designed, then they are published to this exchange for reusability, for consumption, for feedback, and so forth. Let me go back to my slide. Well, once an application is the RAML file or the API specification is written and is tested, and then it's published to Exchange. Then from Exchange, the next phase is to start the building of the application. To start to build the application, the tool is Anypoint Studio, which is an IDE, integrated development environment, to build these APIs. So using the Anypoint, we import the RAML or the specification or the contract from Exchange to Anypoint Studio, and we start working on building the application. So in Anypoint Studio, which is basically for developers, is the bread and butter of MuleSoft developers. So we use it a lot when we build applications or APIs. So basically we use it to build the application by using tools, the Mule palette, which is a drag and drop tool. We drag and drop connectors, transformers, loggers, routers, scopes, and flow controllers to create flows. And also it has also a debugging capability, where we add breakpoints and see how the data goes from one processor to the next processor, and we can pinpoint. It enables to pinpoint where an issue occurs, or if we are troubleshooting an issue, then we use this debug mode, and we can easily identify or pinpoint the issue. And there are also in Point Studio also we do testing. We do M-unit testing. Like here the individual units of this source code are tested to check whether they fit the purpose or not. And usually there is a set like a coverage percentage that we need to achieve, and once we achieve that, like for example 85%, then that will suffice to go to the next step. Let me walk you through the components of the Anypoint Studio. So as you can see, there is the package explorer in the left hand side. In the middle there is the canvas, and in the right hand side there's the Mule palette, and in the bottom there is a console. These four components are these are the sections that are available in the Anypoint Studio, as the package explorer is just to organize the sections of a given project. From the palette we drag and drop different connectors, HTTP connectors, database connectors, and other modules to the main section, to the canvas, and to create the flow. And in the bottom, once the application is deployed, you can see the logs. You see the status of the application. Once it's deployed, it says like application is deployed, and once you start making requests, and then you'll see the status of the request, the payload, and all the good stuff in MuleSoft. Okay, let me share my screen again for this Anypoint Studio. So can you see, can you confirm, Fish, that you're seeing my Anypoint Studio?
Yes.
Well, these are the ones that we were talking earlier: the package explorer, the canvas, the Mule palette, and the console. So this is just I was working on this one before. So basically, I used the palette to drag and drop. I can show you one here. For example, let me do this one and drag and drop the listener. We'll be doing this next section, next class for sure. So as a demo, so I drag and drop the listener, and it's kind of freezing. So as you can see, it's not responding here. Okay, now I'm back. So I drag and drop the listener where a request is getting triggered, the HTTP listener, and we need to configure this one in the state. We can also get, like for example, a logger, and drag it and drop it here. And every of those need to be configured, and yeah, and that's how we come up with our flows. Well, I think for now that for a demonstration purpose, this is enough because we'll be working on this one from starting from next class. Let me go back to my slides. Okay, so we're done with the bread and butter of MuleSoft developers, which is the Anypoint Studio, where we develop our applications and we develop them, debug them, and test them. Once the test coverage is, we are satisfied with the test coverage, then the next phase is to deploy the application into the runtime to the Mule runtime engine. So the management center has different sections. One is the runtime manager. In the runtime manager, we deploy and manage applications. By using a runtime manager, you can deploy and deploy the Mule application, change the Mule runtime version at any time, increase or decrease worker size, which is by worker size. Worker is just an instance. And next is the API manager, where we secure, once we deploy them, we secure the applications or APIs by creating proxy applications or proxy APIs, and also by applying policies on top of these APIs. And I put it in slide share mode. Sorry. The runtime manager is we use the runtime manager to deploy and manage application APIs. The API manager to secure and to secure APIs by creating proxies, and also by applying different kind of policies, like maybe IP whitelisting, spike control, and and header injection, and different kind of policies are there that we apply on top of the application. And another section in this Anypoint management center is the access management, where we manage users, roles, business groups, and audit logs. We can see the audit logs if you want like to see who is doing who is doing what, and the other section is the monitoring, Anypoint monitoring, where we can see dashboards of the application. We can set alerts, for example, we can see alerts for response time. If a response time is beyond greater than this value, this threshold, then please alert me, send me an email so that I can go ahead, and do something and troubleshoot the application and figure out whether the issues with the networking or something else. So we set alerts. We search for logs using the monitoring Anypoint monitoring tool. Search for logs, and there are issues like, for example, for a timeout issue, then we use the keyword timeout and search for logs, and we that helps us to troubleshoot or to narrow down or to figure out solving the problem. So before I go to the next section, let me show you again, share my screen on all these 4 sections, and so that you can have the feel of each section. So we were discussing about the management center, this one, and let me start with the runtime manager. So once we develop the application in Anypoint Studio, then we deploy it here into runtime manager. These are 2 applications that I deployed earlier. Unfortunately, they are not running now, but these are the sections where. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, it's because we can't hear you.
Guys, can you mute yourselves, please?
Sorry, you are breaking though. Can you say it again?
There are the sounds that coming out. Can you control the unmute? Then we can hear you what you're saying. Because there is a sound that's coming out. It's good now. You go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So one section of the management center is the runtime manager, where we deploy applications. As I said before, we deploy application here, we undeploy them, and we have a dashboard to monitor, to manage the application. And there is a logs section where we see the logs. The logs are here. This is the section where you see the logs tailing. And the right hand side, there is also a log for a specific worker. For this one, I have only 1 worker, but if there are multiple workers, you see multiple workers along with their different logs. This application is not deployed, so you can see only the system log. But if it were deployed, then there are also application specific logs and also the thread dumps for the application. And there is a setting section also here where you can restart the application if you want, like delete it, restart it, and so on. And also there is a section where change the runtime manager and change the worker size. By worker, I said earlier, is a dedicated instance where the mule application is running, which has a memory and processing power. This is the worker size, and this is the worker. This is a free version of a free version environment. So I only have 1 worker, but in production environment, there are, depending on the need, you set your worker, the number of workers, depending on the traffic expected and depending on the size of your application. So, but for this one only there is 1 worker. So this is basically the runtime manager, where you deploy and manage and also edit and increase the worker size and so on. The other section in the management center is the API manager. So the API manager, as you can expect from its name, is just we use this one to manage the application. This is an application, American Flight API, that I was working on recently. So this is the implementation URL. You can see the implementation URL. But we don't usually expose the implementation URL to the outside world. So we create a proxy for that, which is this one, the consumer endpoint is the proxy. This is the one that we expose to the rest of the world. So basically, we are managing our applications by creating proxies, and when the request comes, it first hits the proxy application, and then it from the proxy application sends the request to the implementation URL or the implementation application. So we just the API manager is used to create proxy applications, and also to add policies on the application. So for example, in the settings section, you can, in the policy section, you can see different types of policies that we apply on top of the application. I can add policies like here there are different client ID enforcement, header injection. Maybe if you want whitelist or blacklist a specific IP address, then use these policies. And yeah, there are different kind of policies that we use apply on the API or on the application. For example, we can limit the rate that a given application accept this at a certain period of time. For example, we can set that this application should only accept 100 requests in a minute or 100 calls in a second. So this way we can curate our application from distributed what you call this DOS attacks, distributed denial of services. The bad actors out there, they might send thousands of requests and crash our application. So for these purposes, we use API manager to apply different kind of policies. And yeah, next section in the management center is, I think, let's go this the monitoring section, the monitoring, Anypoint monitoring. Well, it's not set up here because this is my trial account, and this is a sandbox environment. But this also Anypoint monitoring helps us to set alerts, as I said before, and search for logs, and it helps to basically to troubleshoot.
Pardon me, Anwar, give me a second. There is some background noise. Let me mute all of them, and then I will ask you to unmute yourself.
Sure.
Did you get a request to unmute yourself, Anwar?
Yes, I did, and I muted myself. All right, thank you.
Yeah, this way everyone else is muted.
Okay. So let's go back to the last section of the Anypoint management center, which is the Anypoint monitoring. By the way, if you have Titanium subscription, this is a very useful tool to it's not only to search for logs, it's also used to to store logs for maybe for up to 90 days. So this is a very powerful tool to troubleshoot and to manage your APIs or your applications in your software. Well, okay, let me go back to my slides. I think, let me put in the slide share mode. Well, and yeah, the last section is the new Runtime Engine, which is the heart and soul of Anypoint platform. The simply is the mule server where the applications are run. So it could be in cloud or it could be on-prem environment. Yes. So I think I'm done. Let me double check if I have more slides to go. Okay, I think we have more slides also. So the next section is the control plane versus runtime plane. So the control plane is simply like the component or of this Anypoint platform, which we use to design, deploy, and manage the mule applications. Basically, it's composed of the exchange, the design, and the management center, and it's always on cloud. The control plane is always managed by MuleSoft, if I remember correctly, and the runtime plane is where APIs and Mule applications are deployed and made available, to users. And it includes these three sections. Main section is the runtime engine, the connectors that we saw in the Anypoint Studio, different connectors, database connectors, and messaging queue connectors, and different connectors, and also some more runtime services. So this is the kind of the summary of the runtime, the control plane in the runtime plane. The upper section is, as you can see, it's composed of the design center, exchange, and management center, and the bottom is the runtime plane. So depending on this control plane in runtime plane, we depending on who hosted this, who is like in charge of yeah, let me say it this way. I think it's part of the next section. So yeah, it's part of the next section. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that was kind of echo, I think. So the next section, which is also related to the previous one, the mule runtime plane in control plane, is the deployment options we have. So there are kind of three deployment options available there. Either is fully MuleSoft managed, where both the runtime and the control plane are managed by MuleSoft on Cloud Hub Workers, or there is also a scenario where it's fully managed by the customer, where both the control plane and runtime plane are managed by the customers. Usually, some companies, like do like this one, fully customer managed environment, but there are also a possibility of hybrid, which is the control plane is hosted and managed by MuleSoft, and the runtime is on the customer side. Yeah, next section, and which is the last section, is the software development cycle, and from the MuleSoft perspective, and basically the design, implementation, and management of any of the software will be discussed here. We start with the design phase. Pretty much I'm summarizing the previous sections using the components of Anypoint platform. So in the design center, in the design phase, the API design phase, there are, we use the main tool is the API designer. And once we design it, in the API designer, we have the marking service where we send requests and we mark the requests. And at the same time, when you design it, we have a marking service, and also we have an API console is automatically populated. So from here, we simulate, doing the marking service, and from there, once we are good with that, we publish it to Exchange. When it's published, when the API specification is published to Exchange, then automatically an API portal is created, where we can kind of documentation of the application, what it does, and the endpoints, and additional information of the API. And from that, we API notebook is also created with more additional information. So basically, at the end of the day, once we design it, we simulate it, and we share it in Exchange, so that other developers and stakeholders can have a look at it and can share their ideas, their feedbacks, and then we validate it, and finally it's validated. Then the final output will be an API specification, which is a RAML file, or which is a RAML is simply a RESTful API modeling language. So that will be the output, and this will go to the next phase, which is the implementation. In the implementation, so we use the output of the previous section, previous cycle, which was the design, and here in the implementation we use that as an input, and we build it. Basically from the interface we build implementation. In the implementation we add this all business logic flows and all all the processors that flows in processing, like if, for example, if the data, if we're fetching a data from a database, then we add the operation, like if it's getting data, then definitely it's a select operation. Then we configure that, we put the database configuration. When you communicate to the database, then we need the port, the host, and all different this stuff. So basically we build the application here, and we debug it and test it by using the embedded framework, which is munit. And finally, once tested, the output will be a web service with an API. And basically there is a slight difference between web service and API, but at the end of the day we get the API as output of this phase. And from this one, the next phase is the management, where we deploy it, apply policies, and monitor it. If there is a need to, if there is a need to scale it up or to scale it down, then we can do it on the fly using the auto scaling feature available in MuleSoft in the runtime manager. And then also we can do analytics about the API, about the performance of we can get analytics information about the performance of the API, number of requests, processing time. And also we can have also the visualizer. We can see the application network, and that helps us to troubleshoot the issue. Well, yeah, but finally the output is a web service with API. And I think with this one we come to the end, but we just need one more slide to connect the scattered pieces into one, or to summarize the whole life cycle. So we start with the design center using the RAML, and then we publish it to Exchange, and in Exchange we get the feedback on all we might need to go back to design center into to accommodate or to include these feedbacks, and finally validate it, and then we import it to Studio, we develop it here, and then we deploy it to runtime manager, and we apply policies using the API manager. And this with this one we will we use the next step is using the application will be operational, and all you need is to manage it. We might need to scale it up or scale it down, or we troubleshoot issues as they come. And yeah, at this phase we can say the application is in production, and that is the whole purpose. And I think, yeah, we are done, and we have here the Kahoot section, and I think Fish is gonna take over.
Thank you very much, Anwar.
I'm stopping sharing my screen.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, Anwar, for taking us over the different components of Anypoint platform and what they are used for, So maybe you heard lots of terminologies and it is lots of concepts, but starting tomorrow, we will go one by one and create hands-on applications. And as you go building applications, you will understand. Each one of them will be clear. So if there are lots of terminologies and concepts that are not clear today, I'm trying to say it is okay. So as we build hands-on applications, you will understand what Anwar showed today. And the other thing is in his slide, Anwar showed about the API development cycle, and he said we start with designing, then after getting feedback and validating it, then we go to building, then after building and testing, there is deployment. So in this course, we are going to first we are going to start with the drag and drop, that is with Anypoint Studio, because that means building, and that has for a couple of reasons. One thing is, rather than starting with, as I said in the beginning, there is a little bit of coding in the course. So rather than starting with coding, I want to start with visual application of it, which is drag and drop building applications with Anypoint platform, with Anypoint Studio. And actually that is the most part of the course also. Building is what takes most time. So once we see the different functionalities of Anypoint Studio and design different applications, once we explore and we understand its applications, then we can get back to the coding part and quickly learn that and integrate them. So we will not start with coding. That is what I am saying. And most of what we cover is anyway drag and drop with Anypoint Studio. And the other thing is, so he says that he shows the different components of Anypoint Platform, Exchange, Design Center, Management, and so on. So MuleSoft, they allow to create an account for free. I think it is for 1 month. So we are going to create accounts and explore them. And even if it expires after 1 month, they allow you to create with the same email and password to create another username, or maybe the password. Yeah, with the same username and email, with the same email and password. You just change the username. Like now it is March, for example, I can call the username Fish March. Then in April, when it expires, I will call it Fish April, and so on and so on. So by doing that, we are going to explore Anypoint platform quite well. I mean, so it will not be only theory. You will practice it yourself, is what I am trying to say. And the third one, before I start the Kahoot, is the third one. So I have shared the slides for tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to start building our first meal application. So the steps I have listed them in the slides. We'll go one by one, also discuss what each one of them is doing and what does it mean, why are we doing that, what is the big picture, and so on. So for tomorrow, please come up with software installation and setup complete. And if you have if you face any errors, either you can share in the group or ask your friends for help. So having said that, now let's have our Kahoot session. So first I will share my screen, share entire screen, and go to Kahoot. So I have prepared Kahoot for today and for tomorrow. For tomorrow I have 2 Kahoot sessions. For today I have 1. So let me open today's Kahoot quiz. Which one was it? Yeah, week 2, class 1, quiz 1. Okay. So when I click start, it will generate a game pin, as you know, and you insert the game pin basically, and then we start the questions. So these questions are prepared based on the slides Anwar presented, and also based on what shows up in the certification. So starting the question, the quiz. So here you have the game pin 196.13.31. Yep, there are more than 100 participants, so at least in Kahoot we should see more than 60 people. $55. Okay, I think I should start now. Okay, let me give maybe 1 minute for others. So if you can also play in your computer. You just search kahoot.it, then it will ask you game pin. You insert this game pin, then you give your username there, and I like this username actually. Thumbs up, or what is it? Okay, I think the rest 50 or 55 of them, they don't have Kahoot. Please, yeah, if you are we're going to attend the next classes, get to know how to use Kahoot as well. That helps to make the class lively and interactive. Okay, 67. Even other people are just joining to the Zoom session now. Okay, so I'm starting it now. Quiz 1. An API has been created in Design Center. What is the next step to make the API discoverable? Discoverable means for other people to get it, to use it. You can take your time. I give it 1 minute. Hmm. Ten seconds remaining. Perfect. Anypoint Exchange. Yes. So this one is what Anwar was showing in the slide. Basically, is where is it? One we deploy it to Anypoint Exchange here so that others can get it. It could be from the same company. If we make it public, everyone can get it. But if we make it just private, then other colleagues from the same company can use it and give feedback. So the answer is Exchange. That's right, Anypoint Exchange. So next question. So here it is giving the pointers based on if you get it correct, and also if it takes the shortest time, then you get the highest point. So the stadium gets the highest point here. Next question. What's the first step in API development cycle? First, do we build, do we debug, do we deploy, or do we design? If there is anyone who doesn't know the meaning of debugging means just fixing issues. And deploying means what he developed, pushing it to the internet or to the cloud so that it can be accessible from the internet and others can use it. This one is just, yep. Perfect. Yes, we first design like what he was showing. So in the life cycle, this is the life cycle that Anwar was showing. So the inner circle that you see, first we design it. We will see. We will go over all these steps one by one. First, you design it, and using it can be dummy data. You simulate it, and so that users can experiment with it and give you feedback. Based on their feedback, you make changes. Then you validate it again. So in the design phase, you have got all the necessary, you have collected all the necessary requirements before you start the actual building. So first, we don't start building right away. We should have blueprint, like for example in construction for civil engineers, is like what the architects come up with is the design phase. Okay, so that's second question. Destalem. Is that? Okay, next. This one. What MuleSoft product enables publishing, sharing, and searching of APIs? Perfect, 70 people. Yep, it is like similar to question number 1. Okay, Destalem, Yared, and this are, we have to just maybe to, yeah, okay. Last one. What is a core characteristic of the modern API? So a modern API follows the API development cycle, basically. Yep, API is designed first using an API specification for rapid feedback. So first we design it and we simulate it, and users experiment with it. They give us feedback, and after validating it, we go to the building phase. So yeah, for the first step is designing. The podium comes here. Bear is number 3. And number 1 is Yared. Cool. Okay, so these questions I have added them at the end of the PowerPoint slide here. So for your future reference when you study, go over the slides. I'm sure there will be many keywords and terminologies that you have never heard before. That's okay. When I first learned this, also I was overwhelmed initially. So go over it, read and try to understand whatever you can. The rest, since we will spend quite enough time on each one of them, you will understand it quite well. And the other thing is, tomorrow we are going to start. Tomorrow we are going to start building an application. So I have shared the slides for tomorrow. come up with your software installed and set up appropriately, and also having taken enough rest and refresh it, because we are going to discuss more concepts and build applications and try to understand the concept, not just so this is drag and drop, as you can see, as Anwar was also saying, but we also will try to understand what it means, why do we do that, what is that, and what is its application, like try to relate with its application and try to understand the big picture. So it is good if you first join on time. Some of you are joining towards the end of the meeting. That is not, I really discourage that. Try to join in the beginning ready, because if you miss some of the concepts, the rest of it you will not be in you will not understand the rest of it, and then you will lose interest. So if you are to learn it, take it seriously. And yeah, that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask, but this is all from our side. Let me stop sharing. Any questions from anyone? Okay, Barakat, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Sure, thank you. I didn't receive an email from you regarding the slides. Can you add my email to your list?
Yeah. Do you know my blog, my Microsoft blog?
Yes, I have submit the form to add my email to your list.
Oh, okay. How come then? Okay. Yeah, I have, so I add every information there, like the slides, every video, including this one, I will upload them. Also, I have created a mailing list and Google Groups. Yeah, send me again, and if there are people who are not getting emails from me, send me your emails. I have more than 240 people in the group like that. I'm
Yeah.
sending emails, so send me your emails and I will add you. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
perfect. And 13158, go ahead, please. Okay. Do you have a okay? Gab, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hey,
Go ahead, please. Yeah, I can hear you.
thank you. Can you tell me how to scale API? You were saying about scaling API.
Yeah, scaling API means based on its purpose, what is it is built for. Like some APIs, the number of users could be small. Some APIs there could be international users, or I mean lots of hundreds of thousands of users, and the users could maybe use it every morning. So rather than dedicating computers throughout the day or 24/7 for that API, you enable auto scaling. During the time when there are more users, it is going to dedicate more clusters, more computers for the API. In the rest of the time, then it will be the minimum number of nodes or computers. That way, you don't just overspend on it.
Okay, I was reading some of the interview questions, and they were saying how to scale up horizontal and vertical. How do you scale up horizontal and vertical?
Yeah, so I think what we can do better thing is we are going
You can
to.
take that.
Yeah, you can take that, Anwar.
Yeah. So by by horizontal meaning you add more workers, meaning more instances. Like an application might can run if your application was running using one worker, you can add two or three or four depending on the traffic you're expecting. For example, in New Year Eve or Christmas days, so you expect more requests, more customer for more traffic. So in that case, you increase it horizontally by adding more workers. But when it comes, when it comes to vertical, it means having the same worker, you increase its vcore size. If it was like fractional vcore size, like 0.22 or 0.1, then you might need to add it to 0.4 or to make it a full one full worker. So that's the case, depending on the need. Then you might need like to scale it horizontally or vertically, meaning either to increase the worker size or the worker itself.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Anwar. So yeah, so basically, in this case, when we say vcore, just take it as size of a computer. So scaling horizontally means getting more laptops or more computers, whereas scaling vertically means the computer you have, you increase its power, your computing power, you make it bigger, kind of thing. But like what I was trying to say also, we are going to build applications and deploy them to Anypoint Studio, to Anypoint platform, I mean, and also see the different things that we can apply to it, including the security, and other configurations. But it is really nice that you are, yeah, that you have started reading interview questions. So the reason that we are learning here is for knowing the course material, to know it very well, to be ready for the certification and also for interviews. Otherwise, like, if you don't read, if you don't understand, if you don't prepare, if you don't understand, when we finish the course, you will not really know enough about the course material. So it is really nice. All of you, I recommend you read what we learn, go over the slides, terminologies you don't understand, search them. There are lots of useful resources on YouTube. We have this class not because we will teach it better than what is there in YouTube, but because we think we can help in organizing it, and rather than getting overwhelmed with information, we will go chunk by chunk, and also we will spend enough time on each topic practicing it, like through hands-on examples. So you have to support the class concepts or what we cover in class by researching, reading, and watching YouTube videos, and also doing the assignments. We will also have in the future hands-on projects. You have to do the hands-on projects, so you have to take it seriously and dedicate enough time. But I appreciate that you have started reading interview questions already.
Thank you. Thank you.
Isaias, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, so I think Barakat, do you have a question? Okay, I think this is enough for today. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night, good day, good morning, and good time, every one of you.